Hello, everyone. So, my question for this week was the setting for the first chapter, Hitting Budapest. So, the setting seems to be two places, seems to be the more poor neighborhood or um, village called Paradise, where the children live, and then the more wealthy suburban area that they call Budapest, where they go to steal the guavas. Um, we can tell Paradise is the complete opposite of paradise, that it's poor and that they live in shacks. Because on page 5, Darling says, getting out of paradise is not so hard since the mothers are busy with hair and talk, which is the only thing that they ever do. They just glance at us when we file past the shacks. So this tells us that the houses that they have in paradise are just shacks and that it's a pretty poor neighborhood. We know that Budapest is the complete opposite of paradise, because on page 7, Darling says Budapest is big houses with satellite dishes on the roofs and neat graveled yards or trimmed lawns, and the tall fences and the Dura walls and the flowers and the big trees heavy with fruit that's waiting for us. So this tells us that the suburban area that they call Budapest is more of the wealthy neighborhood with big houses and fancy lawns and fancy walls, and just the complete opposite of Paradise where the children live. We also can tell that Paradise is really struggling in more of a poor neighborhood because the children themselves are starving. They're going into another suburban area just to steal guavas. So this tells us that the Paradise is people who live in Paradise don't have much money and that they are pretty much starving to death. Um, Also on page 15 um, is it states that they all Darling says that they we all find places in me and I squat behind a rock. So this tells us that uh, in Paradise they don't have access to indoor plumbing, that they have to use the bathroom outside. So this tells us that Paradise is a pretty poor part of it's a pretty poor neighborhood, and that they're really struggling with food, and they don't have any a proper place to use the bathroom. And then also on page 15, where they see the woman who hung herself. So this also tells us that people would rather commit suicide um, instead of starving to death. So this lets us know that Paradise is full of poverty and hardship, and that even the children have to travel to another part of town just to steal guavas to eat because of how poor this village seems to be.